Hastings Fiberglass, and I'm here with Jeremiah. He's one of our installers here. He builds all of our Tel-O-Poles, does all the repairs, and today we're going to talk about replacing or repairing a button and spring and lock body. Now here I have a triangular stick, an HV pole. If you have one of these, and these would have the red square buttons, these buttons are not replaceable. So if you do have a bad button with these, you simply have to tell us what section is bad. We'll replace the button, or we'll give you a new section with a new button in it, and you just snap it in and you're good to go. Now let's go on to the round Tel-O-Pole and we'll get started on how to replace a button and spring there. We're here with our S model sticks, and we have three versions of our S models. We have the ST, which has a tip lock feature. We have just our standard S stick, no tip lock. Sections are identical except for the button at the top here. And then we have our SH model. The SH model is just a little bit thicker. This is over an inch in diameter. This is less than an inch in diameter if you're wondering which one you have. Now the only reason I'm showing you that is because if you damage this button here, which is closest to the universal head, this button cannot be replaced. All other buttons can be replaced, but this one, if you break this one and want it replaced, you'll have to buy a new tip section. Okay, here we have an S model stick that we're going to replace the button on. The first thing that you have to do is you have to replace the universal fitting here. You'll see the thumb screw. You want to have that pointing down, and Jeremiah will demonstrate the easiest way to do this. Just take a punch, tap the roll pin through, and the universal head pops right out. All right, now the next step is we've got the universal head off. Now the next step is we have to move down to the butt of the stick. So we're going to take off the base cap, will be the first thing. Now you'll notice that there's three screws in our S model sticks. Those screws have to be unscrewed to get the base cap off. Okay, once the base cap is off, now we slide this section off the top of the stick. Depending on which button you're going to be doing, you have to repeat this process. The smallest button is the hardest one to do. If this is the one you got to replace, that's the easiest one to do. So now we're exposed here to the lock body. And you'll notice that there's brass pins here that hold this lock body in. So now we need to take a punch that's a little bit smaller than 3/16 and drive those brass pins into the stick. Okay, we're going to drive these brass pins in. Now on the larger sections, you're going to have two brass pins. When you get to the top of the stick, in the smaller sections, there will only be one brass pin. So he drives both of them out. Now it's simply pressing the button, and now the lock assembly comes out. And most of the time, the lock assembly is good. So all you got to do is replace the button and spring, and we'll show you how to do that. We've determined that the lock assembly is good, and that's this black piece here. That's the lock assembly. The button and spring now is what's bad, and that's what we're going to change. So we're just going to push that straight through, and that exposes the button and spring. Now you can take your new button and spring. You see there's three parts there. Put it back together. And now your button and spring is installed, and now you can replace your lock body into your stick. Now that's why it's important not to waller these holes out. If you waller those holes out, you're going to have to drill new holes, and you just pick a different quadrant and you just pop another hole in there. But if you use a smaller punch, you shouldn't do that. You can use the same hole with your brass pin. That was the first section. Obviously now if we have a smaller section, we're going to have to just repeat this process and slide everything again out through the top of the stick. And then to reassemble, just repeat the process backwards. After this is complete, the last step would be to reinstall our universal head. Okay, now to reinstall your universal head, there's a little trick here. You got to pull the stick out, lock the first button in, and then you want to line up your universal head with the wing nut's got to be lined up with the button down at the bottom there. And then you can drive in your roll pin. Now we're here with our measuring sticks. These are all the sticks that have the measuring markings on them. Now with this one, it's a little bit different. We've got a hook here that's got to be removed. Unlike the universal head, this one is hot melt glued in there. So you have to take a hair dryer or a heat gun and heat this end up. That will loosen up the glue so I can remove the hook safely. Be careful that you're not burning the fiberglass if you are using a heat gun that's throwing out some heat. And make sure you wear gloves because this gets pretty hot. So make sure you keep safety in mind here. Now that the hook is removed, you can start the same process that we did on the round Tel-O-Pole by removing the base cap and start working your way up the stick with getting your buttons replaced. To put this in, again, you want this warm. There should be enough glue on the hook itself. Heat this up, stick it back in the stick, and you're good to go.